Hey, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Black Man Unfiltered Network. What's going on? Hey, listen, man, can't get it. Oh, well, we gotta wait a minute. That might be me. I hear an echo. Hold on, man. That's me. I gotta get that echo out of there. Okay, I think I've changed that. All right. That's right. Good evening. Hey, listen, I tell you, I can't get enough of seeing Pam Grier or my man Gregory Hines dancing at the end, man. Yeah, we rest in peace, Gregory Hines. I used to like that dude, man. He's pretty cool. Anyway, hey, listen, I got something for you guys. Something maybe a little different. I thought about it and was kind of tongue in cheek. Then I said, well, maybe, just maybe, instead of us, leaving these platforms without solutions, I said, well, I'm kind of solution oriented. So I thought maybe I can figure out something to help the ladies out. Just strong, independent ladies, instead of telling them or trying to change them. So this is inspired by my girl, Ebony K. And the reason why I'm using her is because she's been very, very vocal on her issues with relationships with men equally yoked or greater than her. Her expectations are not met only because she is, I don't want to say damaged. She doesn't understand a couple of things. One that she doesn't understand is that there's a difference between being a man who's at that level. There's a difference between being his wife and being his partner. And she doesn't understand that. She wants the guy to accept her as an equal and a partner, and every so often she wants to have the strap on, right? And a guy at that level is not going to acquiesce to any bullshit like that. You know what I'm saying? Hey, what's going on, Dr. Bennett, Mr. Bennett? Right? So he's not going to accept that kind of stuff. Right? So what I said, instead of trying to change her or try to change women of her ilk, why don't we try to do something to accommodate the women with the mindset that no matter who I'm with, I want to be the boss chick and I want a man to accept me at that level. Okay. And okay, so I'm saying, well, what can we do for her and women of that ilk? And what kind of men might accept that kind of relationship? All right. So she wants a partner, but if she gets a partner, she has to understand she's going to reject that particular man as a husband, right? You're not going to get a husband out of this deal. You know, you're not going to get all these traditional benefits that you want to get out of a man in a marriage because you don't want a husband. You want to be a partner. And so let me say a couple of things right off the top of my head that I think that she's got to realize that if you get a man who agrees to be your partner, stuff like his secrets and his vulnerabilities, he's never going to tell you because you haven't really built up any kind of trust that he should tell his partner anything, any such thing. Why should I tell you as my partner anything that's really deep in my soul? I'm not going to do that. You know what I'm saying? Hey, Trey Ferg, how you doing? I'm not going to do that. So you got to, if you can live with that and maintain your boss chick status, then that's cool. The other thing is you don't get no access to my financial records or my accounts. We're not sharing no my accounts are my accounts, your account is your account. You won't see my financial records. And I'm probably going to tell you none of your business when you ask me how much money I make. So don't worry about that. As long as our partners, as long as I could fund and afford our partnership, that's all you should care about. And the last thing, and it's not the last thing, the next thing is that you have to accept that our relationship is going to always be somewhat transactional. Our relationship is going to be transactional and it's going to be very little validational feelings, right? And from when I say validational, I'm saying that we're not going to get that close, or we may not get that close to where you need the affirmations from a man in your life. Why would I waste time giving you those affirmations when you have no inclination to give me back on any of that stuff? So I'm going to just kind of show you. Here's where I want to put that clip on a real short clip, 1 minute of what Ebony K's mindset is at. And then I'll come back and we can go from there. I got a couple more points, and whoever wants to come up, we could come up. So whenever you're ready to cue that clip, let's do it.
so that they could run the shop.
We're all single here on this panel. Are you single?
I am definitely single.
I'm
Yeah.
newly single
Yeah.
I've been single a very long time.
Yeah.
and
Single.
all successful, which
Yes.
is scary. So it is that hard,
It is-
right?
it's-
We're
yeah.
saying it's not that hard, but you have 4 successful women.
Because the success is not to our advantage
Beautiful.
romantically.
Now,
Okay, let's just name some things.
Yeah.
Okay, because I can't sit up on this panel and not name the fact that even in this conversation of 4 diverse women of different lived experiences, we still represent some similarities. Nobody on this panel is darker than a brown paper bag. We need to
Oh
name
no,
it.
I don't think this is.
Nobody on this panel is more than a size 10. And so let's just kind of
No,
expand the
that's not it.
conversation. We
Maybe I hope they give you the wrong timestamp. It was 13:45, I think. Try it.
don't
Have
want
all
it
that.
was
They
but
want
the end of my
love.
point.
Yeah, they want
So
someone
if
that you can
you're
trust.
not all of those things, if I don't desire you, I really
There you
don't
go.
want you.
That's it.
Real boss men, they do not desire a financial or an intellectual equal. They are not attracted to it. It is a turn off. The PP goes, burr, burr, burr. It does. I'm telling y'all the truth. They did not go to law school, L'Oreal, so they could end up with a peer. They went to law school, they went to medical school, they went to Harvard MBA so that they could be the dominant,
Yeah.
so that they could run the shop.
We're all single here on this panel. Are you single?
Okay,
I
that was
am
it.
definitely single.
I'm
That was it. Yeah, that's all we needed, right? So a couple of things she said, the implications of what she said, and you could just bring up the first page of my presentation now. The very first thing she said that you got to pick up on was that a man at that level wants to dominate. He wants this, he wants that, kind of disparaging the kind of man she's talking about. In fact, what she missed is that guy who's leading his family, he wants a wife. He doesn't want a partner. I'm a captain of industry. Yeah, just leave it on this, just leave it on that chart. I'm a captain of industry. When I come home, I don't want to sit down here and debate with your ass about the goddamn physics of life and stuff. I want you to be my wife. I want you to chill. I want you to make me feel comfortable. I want you to make my house into a home. I want these kind of things. I'll tell you this, and this is one thing men have to do. And I'm gonna just kind of segue here. Men got to stop telling women who accomplish things that their accomplishments don't matter. We got to stop saying that shit. What we got to say is your accomplishments are not at the forefront of why I'm with you. You know, I appreciate your accomplishment. I applaud you, all that kind of good shit. But that's not why I married you. I didn't marry you for all of that shit. I married you so you could be my wife, my helpmeet, and I can help you. You can help me, and we want to be in accordance to a covenant. I don't want you to be my partner. I don't need another partner. That's what I do when I leave the house. So that's what. So she doesn't get that shit. That men don't want partners in their women. They want a wife. You know. So okay, they'll go trade. All right. So the second thing that she does when she says these things, and I don't know if it's subliminal or on purpose, is that she belittles the role of a wife. She belittles the role. She diminishes the woman who's a wife, the woman who is dedicated, who's not dedicated to being a boss chick and a captain of industry. She belittles those women as if being a nurturer of the future generations is some minuscule kind of thing, right? To be the matriarch of your household is somehow less than somebody who's bringing in the big bucks. And then on the flip side, right, if you were a man who needed a woman to bring in the big bucks, she'd have another complaint about that. You know, so see, so those two things are where she's damaged at, okay? In terms of what she's thinking. So, like I said, and my last thing before I ask people come up, right? So instead of kind of bashing her for her thoughts, because there's a lot of women who think like this, who actually have something financial, something to offer because they have accomplished a lot. So instead of diminishing them, how about we go through another proposal, right? How about we talk about, you know, a solution to satisfy your want of a man without the requirements of being a wife to said man. As long as she recognize, as long as she recognizes that it's not, she's not getting a husband in this deal, she's getting a partner. So I introduced to you what you see on the screen, right? A partnership agreement for an efficient relationship. That's what we're going to talk about a little bit tonight. It's not all inclusive, but there's some thoughts I put down in this slide deck that I think might satisfy, aggressive, hungry woman who wants to be a partner to a man, but doesn't want to be a wife to that man, and wants that man to somehow be enamored with her, but I don't quite wants you to be my husband, because that entails too much work on her part. All right. So listen, here's a couple of things. If you have, so let's go to the first chart in this thing. Let's go. So I just kind of put a preamble, right? So this is, like I said, this is a preamble for this pair. I pronounce it pair, even though it's spelled A-E-R. And if you could spell Michael with a A-E-L, I can spell pair with a P-A-E-R. So don't give me no shit on that. It's pronounced pair, okay? So let's not get hung up on that. So here's like I said, this is a partnership between the strong, independent woman and a successful, popular, select man, a man that a lot of women want, man who can has money, can stand on his own 2 feet. And here's how you can get together in this partnership agreement. And so this delineates some things, right? So we're going to go through it, right? Where we're going to live, how we're going to handle finances, and a couple other things. I'll get to some of those. And in case we have a kid, what do we do with that? And then how do we set it up, where we have what I call like, how do we vet some things in terms of if we break up? All right. So let's go to the next chart. And everybody, so I'm gonna go through this real fast. Okay, so what about romantic obligations? Right? Do we have a conversation about that or not? And maybe some other chart that came in front of this, like where we live. So what's the obligations? Are we monogamous? And if we're not monogamous, are there penalties? That kind of stuff. So we could think about that and have a conversation. Next. The next chart, if you got it, let's just kind of roll through it. Okay, financial obligations. You have a separate account. I have separate accounts. Do we create a joint account for the things we want to do together? Right? Do we want that account to be an investment account? Because if we set up an investment account to do certain things, we could just make this partnership an LLC and somehow reap the tax benefits of having a partnership that's trying to make some money in certain aspects. So not only do we have a partnership, it's like a business agreement. And so we should take full advantage of that. She could do that with the guy and they're going to have something together that, they share jointly. Okay. Real estate purchases, other investments, etc., etc. Next chart. All right. Living arrangements. You keep your house, we have separate homes. Right? You're not going to move in with me, and I damn sure I'm never going to move in with you. So let's not even go there. And then, so if we buy a crib or a house that's a shared place, and it's part of our investment portfolio, how do we monetize that? How do we use that? How often are we going to be there? That's with no restrictions. We could both show up there anytime we want, as opposed to just be knocking on our own private door. So this is an arrangement with me and you. When we go to the house, there's going to be some boot knocking, if we're both there together, but we could be there anytime we want because it's a shared property. So none of this, I'm using the house tonight. None of that bullshit. It's ours. Hey, what's going on there? So that's that. And that's a living arrangement. It could be other arrangements, but we could make that into investment property. We can get into the real estate business. We could do all kinds of shit based on that property and treat this like an LLC and get some of the tax benefits for that shit. Next one. All right. Private and public posture. What's our posture in this relationship going to be? Are we going to act like we're in a romantic engagement together? or we're going to act like we don't know each other in public. So we got to talk about that. And if we are going to act like we're a couple, what are the restrictions on how we behave in public? Because we're going to be representing each other. So that's a conversation we need to have. Like, I'm not going to accept you going outside with your titties out and your ass out. If you want to be able to be a free woman and able to show your crotch and all that shit, then we can't have this. We can't even do the partnership. If I go to strip clubs and I'm making it rain and you don't like that, if I'm not willing to stop that, that's another reason why we won't have a just partnership. You go your way, I go my way. Maybe we can hook up and banging out once or twice and leave it at that.
Grow the fuck up.
There you go. All right. Next chart. Okay, the one after this one. All right, so if we have a blended family, or actually we want to have a kid of our own, then that comes with its own set of circumstances, and we'll have to deal with discussing that. How to share the custody is shared, education, discipline, whatever stuff comes around that. If we already have our children, then that's another kind of discussion. How do we do that? If they're grown, then we don't have that much to worry about. And those kind of things, those are discussions that we need to have. Go ahead, next. Now, I added this one later on because if we're together and we actually like each other a little bit, if just somebody that you're involved with, if you don't have rights, you might not be able to visit them in a hospital. So if they have to go in there or you have to go in there, do we talk about any kind of a living will, or who's the person that's going to have the power of attorney if it's not either one of us? I think that needs to be known to your significant other, your partner, and all that kind of shit. So that's just some legalese I think you need to work with. And I added one more that I didn't talk about before you get to the last page. That was the LLC thing, right? I mean, if we're gonna have a partnership, let's codify it. Let's make it an LLC so we can at least get some tax benefits and make some money through this too. And maybe we won't mind being business partners, even if we're in a romantic relationship. So that's something you could add on as a rider. And then the last chart, please. Yes, one more after this. Now, I call it a prepare, right? Kind of akin to a prenuptial agreement. If in case we break up, we have some stipulations that we just sever ties, whatever we did jointly, we split 50-50. You go your way, I go mine. Don't be asking me for no goddamn more money than that. I won't ask you for no more money. If we had kids, it's a little bit more complicated, but don't take me no goddamn family court. We'll share custody 50-50 and do it that way, something agreement. Now, here's two things I need to add. If we break up and our partnership just runs a course and we don't want to have anything to do with each other, after that, it should be easy to break up. You go your way, I go my way, we sell the joint assets, blah, blah, blah. If we happen to fall in love and become enamored with each other and actually want to take it to the next level of marriage under a covenant to God, and you decide that you want a husband after all, and you will be willing to be a wife, then we could talk about that. But shit, I still have to ask you. Don't be coming to me with no goddamn proposal, because you can't. I gotta ask you. You gotta show me that I'm not making a mistake. I said, you a hyena. Now all of a sudden you want to be a lioness. That shit ain't gonna be that easy. But if I happen to get stupid enough to say, will you be my wife, and bend at knee and all that shit, and you kind of convince me that's not a bad idea, just prepare turns into a prenuptial agreement, and then we update it accordingly before we get married. So that's my thoughts of how we could do something in between just stroking each other as boyfriend and girlfriends when we're a mature adult, and something a little less than a covenant of a marriage. And this should be able to satisfy the hunger pains of a hyena and a man who kind of likes you but doesn't want to make you a wife. All right. So anybody who wants to come up and we can chop this up a little bit and tell me what you think. I think this is me trying to offer something to the women out there, so they can't just say all you guys want to do is bash women. No, I don't want to bash. Well, I love you guys. I want to do what's best for you, and I want to meet you where you're at. If you're just a chick that likes to have your independence, don't expect to have a husband who's going to accept that shit, right? But I know, just like anybody else, you need love too. Okay, this is the way to get it. You know, so that's this is my thoughts on the top of my head. So anybody who has any other thoughts. Now, first of all, I understand the hesitancy of coming up and talking about it because this is kind of brilliant and shit. And I can't help it. Oh, yes, that's Trey's line. Anyway, but anybody around who wants to talk about this, let's do it. Let's do it. And if there's a lady in the audience that says, well, I can live with something like that, I'd like to know that too. You know? Why you gotta get your big ass bobblehead up here first? Yeah, man, come on, man. Okay, Trey, what's up?
My first question is, what's
Yes,
the
sir.
difference between this and a cohabitation agreement?
Say that again?
What's the difference between this and a cohabitation agreement?
Well, most people who cohabitate don't have an agreement. They just cohabitate.
I get
Okay.
that, but if the cohabitation agreement is already available and they're not using that, why would they use this over
Because
what was already available?
no, I hear you, but a cohabitation agreement is a false narrative, a false marriage, because now you have a pseudo marriage because you're living in the same house. So you expect things from each other as a married couple without the commitment. That's why that doesn't work. It
Okay.
works for some people. It works for
Okay.
some people.
Okay.
But
My second question is that if she's
okay.
not going to be in the house, why wouldn't I just pay for it?
Pay for what?
A woman. I'm not getting anything based on that situation. I'm not getting anything special. There's nothing special about what you just outlined. So
No.
as a man, why wouldn't I just pay for it and just get what I need from the woman and send her on her way? Why do I need to formulate a business with her?
Let me say why. Okay.
Yeah, I hope you're
Yes.
prepared to defend this.
No. I that's what I'm doing. That's just why I'm calm. I want to say why. A good question. Because you actually like this woman. You actually like her. She's not a fly-by-night chick who you're just trying to bang and leave. You actually like this woman, but she doesn't meet the level of somebody you could ask to be your wife. Kind of like maybe you and Anissa. You know what I'm saying? This will be perfect for y'all.
So if that's the case, then why would I enter into an agreement with somebody that I like only a little bit, but not enough to marry?
You added a little bit in there. I did.
Well, I don't like her enough to marry her.
Well, that doesn't mean
I
you
don't like her
a
enough to
little.
live with her.
Well, that's
So
cool.
why would I enter into a binding
Well,
contract
wait a
with her?
minute. Okay, I can answer that too. There's plenty of guys who are enamored and love women that they don't want to live with. That's not like that's far fetched. I mean, that's not really far fetched. Sometimes some guys and some women like people a whole lot. They might even love them, but I can't live with you. I can't. If we can have an agreement where we can, kind of live separately and under certain rules, and we can agree to those rules, this is kind of the avenue to do it. Because a lawyer could be involved with this partnership agreement too. So listen, brother, you're trying to put these little riders
No,
on it.
it doesn't make sense. Why not? Why wouldn't I just date her?
Because you want more than just a data.
Well, what more do I want?
But that's you.
If I
Well,
don't live
first
with
of
her
all,
and I'm not gonna marry her,
Trey,
what
you
more
making
do I
this
want?
well, okay, I hear you making this about you. I was doing this to satisfy.
I'm giving you the male perspective. You said you were doing this for women. By the way, this doesn't work for women because it's not beneficial to them. They would win in child support court. They would never sign this paperwork. They would take their chances in child support court where they're probably going to win. Where they're probably going to win more there. So it would never work for women either. But I'm asking, as a man, why would I ever present this
Because
to
hey,
a
listen,
woman?
why not? Well, okay, you
That's
might
not an
not.
answer. That's you
Okay,
can't.
here's
Children do that. Children do
let
the
me
well.
let
Why
me.
not? I'm asking you, why as a man would I ever present
First of all, I
this
thought
to
I
a
gave
woman?
you an answer. Well, hold on, brother. Let me give you the answer. I started with why not, but I was going to give you some more context, right? Because listen, first of all, guys fall more romantically in love with women than the other way around. Women are always practical when they get in a relationship with a man. Most men are not, I want to say like you, but most men are not practical at all. Their hearts open up and they get enamored with a woman, and you know they make mistakes. They let any kind of woman into the goddamn gate. So I'm saying for here's the word you don't like, the discerning man, right? The man who understands the difference. Like I like her, she likes me, but in my mind, I want to keep her, but I don't want to let her into the gate. And some guys are like that. I want to be monogamous with this woman. I want her to be monogamous to me. So I'm gonna put up an arrangement. I'm gonna agree to an arrangement with her and only her to do this partnership agreement, and we can have an efficient relationship based on a set of rules we both agree to. And why would every man do it? They won't. But some men would. And listen, if men do stupid shit with women all the time, how come they can't do something like this? I mean, where are you coming? Let me ask you a question. With all the stupid shit men do for women and do for women and with women, how could this be far-fetched? Out of all the stupid shit men do, right?
Because
Because
it has no benefit. It doesn't benefit a man.
Since when? Well, first of all, for men, most men, the only benefit they really thinking about is getting those cheeks. Okay, so how many men sit down here and say, man, I'm marrying this chick. I got all these fucking benefits. She's going to be the mother of my kids. She's going to make my house a home. She's going to make most men just look at the woman and say, how often am I going to be in between those legs? And that's it. So when you start talking about a male benefit, you're putting your head in there because you're 39 years old and you have all this experience on shit. If I'm going to get married, I got to get something out of it. The average guy does not think at that level. You know, and for you, Trey, yeah, I thought you would love this. You know why? Because with your fucking 800, oh man, god dang it, almost. See, it's your fault. I almost got out of this thing without saying the F word once. Listen, with the way you scrutinize women and forever will, I can't see you doing anything. You don't sound like you want to get married. But I don't think you're adverse to having one woman. Right? I really don't. She just got to meet a certain criteria. But this is your halfway point. You know,
it doesn't make sense. I watched you give your entire presentation.
I think it really makes sense.
I watched you give your entire presentation. It doesn't.
Okay.
It doesn't.
You don't agree with it
because it's not sensible. It doesn't make any sense.
Yes, it does. It makes sense.
No, as a man who would step to a woman who's bringing his assets to. There's nothing there. The best protection for me would be to not get anything on paper and not to get her pregnant. That's the best protection for me. Not to have anything written down and never get her pregnant. That way, if it doesn't work, she can go on about her business. I can go on about mine.
Yeah.
But once you start to put things in writing, and you start involving lawyers, things start.
You don't have to involve a lawyer. But let me answer this question you said. What you just said is the normal course of things. Why even get married to a woman? Why ever get married to a woman if you can get the goodies? And why ever have kids at all? You know what I'm saying? So the point really is that this is an in-between. If you could have a relationship where you could just leave bastards around and a relationship and a marriage that you don't really want to really stick with for the rest of your life. So how is this so far-fetched?
How does it stop bastards from having? Because this isn't a marriage. So how does it stop bastards from having?
I said it's in between. I didn't say it stops it. Well, you know what? Let me tell you this. To me, I don't consider a kid with the father's last name a bastard. I wouldn't consider your kid as your last name, right? Whether you're married to the woman or not, I don't consider a kid with the father's last name a bastard. I don't. That's just my interpretation. I don't care if they're wedlock or not. I always keep one foot in the secular world. So if a man's willing to claim the kid and give her the last name or him the last name, that kid's not a bastard.
I think I'm just confused. Is this an attempt to protect women or to protect men?
This is an attempt to satisfy the hyenas who want
Why?
well, wait a minute, man. Well, wait, let me finish answering. Let me answer the why. The reason why I did this is one, I just had this little epiphany. And I said, well, instead of trying to change a woman, let's see if I leaned into their stupidity and try to satisfy a need for them. This is the woman who's a boss chick who doesn't need a man, but sure does want one, right? And but what she has to give up, since she doesn't want to be a wife, she has to give up some of the trappings of that guy being a traditional husband. But they'll tell you they want monogamy. They'll tell you they want all of this other shit, but they don't want to be a wife. Well, you can't have it all, honey. I say this, you can't have it all. So this is the in-between for you, Ebony, and women of that ilk. And if you can get a man, that's the other thing you missed. I said, if you can get a man to agree with this, then more power to you. Obviously, they couldn't convince you of this shit, okay? And you keep, okay, so every man won't agree to this. But some men will, because they agree to a lot less. Men agree to anything, so a lot of men do. So all I'm just trying to say, this is just my attempt. I didn't say it's the answer. I just say it's a answer. That's what I'm trying to say, brother. I'm having some fun with it.
Yeah, but you still need to be able
The man does have the last name. A man does have a choice.
Yeah, the man doesn't have to sign the birth certificate.
That's right.
So
anyway, well, listen, man. This is just my.
Well, I'm trying to figure out since when did we care so much about what hyenas think? So much so that we had to come up with a document and a process to help bridge the gap. Who cares about that? We call them hyenas for a reason.
No. I did it because for some reason I see a lot of Ebony K. Williams thing, right? So it just sparked my mind. I hear her talking about one. I think she's desperate for a relationship, right? And because she's always talking about it. And but so she just gave me some content to think about, right? Just like I hate to call myself a content creator, right? Because being my 220 goddamn subscribers, I don't want to belittle content creation. But she gave me a thought. I say, listen, Ebony, if I actually liked you, this is how I would help solve your problem. Because that's what men do. We solve problems, right? So this might be good for you. And so that's what I did. It didn't take me years to put that together. I just threw some shit off the top of my head on some slides.
Yeah, I could tell. Here's the issue.
You had to take it. What you was good.
Here's the issue. The issue is that Ebony K. Williams has to face the reality. The reality is that you are in a certain financial demographic, and the men that you want don't want you. She has to live with that. Now, at some point in time, she has to lower her standards. She has no choice. She has no choice. She has to lower her standards because the men that she wants that are on her level, that are making the kind of money she's making, they are not reciprocating. She's not getting any reciprocation. So at some point in time, in order for her to get where she's trying to get, that man will more than likely probably make less than her, and he will probably have less clout than her, or she'll never have the actual marriage that she desires. She may get married to a guy, but it won't be on the terms that she wants it. Exactly. It may be complete business from front to back. Like I look at it now, like if I were to ever get married, it could happen. Who knows what could happen? But it has to be for business. She has to be able to bring it. She had to bring something. I would never marry for love. In this day and age, in this climate, I would never get married for love. She would have to have something that would be beneficial to me from a business standpoint. In order for me to go that route. No. She has to have something she can lose, basically.
Well, listen, I do understand that. That's why I'm saying that part of this so-called romantic partnership agreement has a business aspect to it. So consider it a partnership with benefits. You're banging out the chick, and you guys are making plans, pillow talking on how y'all can make money together. So so that's
but I don't need to sign a contract for that.
Listen, man. I know you don't need to sign the contract. I know you don't. I'm talking about for the guy who might want to do it. Like I said,
but that's what I'm asking. What man in his right mind would basically, if you're getting a cow and the milk for free, why would you ever go to the dairy farmer and sign a contract? That doesn't make any sense.
No, I know, I hear you, but then why men marry women that banging already then? Why do men marry women? Most men marry women that banging anyway.
Because of tradition. A lot of these guys don't know what they're doing. If you go out here and go ask these men, why did you get married? I guarantee.
You're answering my question.
Right, but that doesn't mean it's smart.
That is true, but that doesn't mean it's wrong either, right? Because part of the reason why men marry women, right? Because we have a certain possessiveness in ourselves. We have a certain possessiveness that even if she's not a virgin, if she's giving it to me and she convinces me that now I'm her number one choice, we get possessive. That's what we do. When you ask a woman to marry you, you're actually trying to possess her. Right. So in this case, you might not, if you know all the benefits of a marriage, and this woman's not capable of giving it to you, but she can give you what you want, and maybe you can kind of control her a little bit. This partnership might be for you.
Are you in possession of something that can leave you?
Because you know what I'm metaphorically talking about possession. Men in their
I
mind,
understood the metaphor, but I'm being realistic. Are you in possession of anything that can get up and walk away from you?
Okay, see, now I think you're being purposely obtuse. Because you know that men, listen, Trey, you know that men have this thought that marriage somehow gives them some kind of ownership, some kind of possession of the woman that they've married. Not possession in a physical sense, because we know she could leave. So
you don't have any possession over a woman. And she can go down to the courthouse and file a divorce in any sense of the word.
That's not usually. I hear that. That's what she can actually legally do. But a man asks a woman to marry him because of the possession category. That's part of it. That's mine. That woman's mine and nobody else's. That's what I mean by possession.
Then that man is a fool.
There's been
generation. If you got married in the last 30 years, and you believe that you possess that woman in a time and where she can go down to the courthouse and file a divorce because she doesn't feel like being married to you anymore, you are a fool.
There's generations of fools out there. Right.
Exactly.
So you're saying every marriage,
why would anybody in their right mind sign an agreement with a woman that you were smashing anyway? You getting it without having to sign a contract. Why would I now sign it?
Well, you did. That's the same question you asked when somebody gets married.
And thus I'm single.
Listen. All I'm just trying to say is that there's no right or wrong here, but you can't say. Well, you can say it, but it's still not good enough to say, why would anybody do something, especially when you're a man, because we do shit like this all the time. All the time. I mean, it's not like we don't make all kinds of sacrifices and all kinds of stupid shit for women. We just do. And at least this one, you might get something out of it. Now, with this RBN, somebody else bring your ass up here and tell me.
You told no. Stop running. Stop running. Here's the thing. Here. People always want to bring up the Bible, but I don't never see the Bible in these divorce proceedings. People want to bring up love, but I don't ever see love in these divorce proceedings.
It's not
like women are breaking vows left and right. Left and right, they're breaking them for the silliest reasons. You don't make enough money. You're not high enough in your position. Right? I don't like you anymore. Right. I don't feel it. They're not having sex with their husbands anymore. They are finding the slightest reasons to get out of these situations.
And
so if you're a man and you're talking about, I'm going to get married in 2024 and going beyond, and that woman doesn't have something of a business sense to bring to you, you're a fool.
Okay, that's not even going to satisfy that too, because she could still leave even after that. But you're right. That's why the marriages are going down. Right? All the shit you just said, that's why it's not only because of women it's going down because of men. Men are starting to say, shit, what's in it for me? And so it's not just for my
That's what I'm asking about your pair program. What's in it for me?
But I said that it was from trying to satisfy from the chicks. I don't want them to go around saying I didn't try to do something for them. Then all we do is bash women. I'm saying no. We actually try to come up with solutions that might work for you if you could find a man.
While putting the man at a disadvantage?
He's not at no more disadvantage than he's at in the marriage.
He is at a disadvantage.
No,
If he breaches,
no more than the
if he
marriage.
breaches the contract, can she sue him?
But you could work that out in the
Oh,
pre
come on.
agreement. You work that out. That's why I put that there. You work that shit out. This is you got to make this shit trade proof. Okay, how about that? You make it trade proof. They'll hire you, and they can make the agreement trade proof. You know, that's what I'm saying. I'm trying to do.
You don't have to make it trade proof. You have to make it sensible. You have to make. Here's the thing. You have to make it to where it gets as close. I don't think it'll ever be fair, but it gets as close to equitable for both sides that both sides will take a loss. Here's what I say. This is how you do marriage in any of these contracts. Whomever files for divorce gets no alimony, gets nothing. You're the one breaking the contract. If you're the one breaking the contract, you should not be rewarded for breaking the contract.
I agree with that.
That's how it should go.
I agree with that. But that's what.
And if a person knew that if they filed for divorce, they would walk away with nothing, I guarantee you would either A, see less marriages, or B, you would see less divorces.
Okay,
you would see one or the other.
You'll see, or both. But here's the thing. In my scenario with this pair, you're not married. You're not even cohabitating. You're not doing any of that. So a man's advantage is that this was a partnership, right? Because it's an LLC. And well, it was an LLC, and we broke up and we're dissolving the partnership. You know, so since when do partners pay alimony to the other partner? Tell me when. So your partner,
if you can go to court, but here's the thing: you got to remember this is civil court. If you can go to court and prove that somehow the opposite party was injured, they're going to have to come up with some money.
But that's
like in my mind, I'm going. If I'm with this woman, we already don't live together. We're having sex. We're hanging out. We're kicking it. Why would I ever enter into a contractual obligation? That doesn't make that's why I'm confused. I'm already getting what I want from her
for the same reason. But for the same reason, without the covenant obligation, you would enter in a marriage. Everybody's busting down their wives before they marry them. Why marry them? It's the same justification, except this one doesn't put you in the same pickle, right? You're not in the same pickle as a person who's married by the state. You have more flexibility because it's just a partnership agreement. You do your part, I do my part. We agree to this shit and we split now. Why she can't get alimony because it's not that kind of goddamn relationship. The only thing that would trap you is how if she starts to not lie, but starts to get more for the kid and doesn't want to do 50-50 because we're broken up, and she goes against the partnership agreement instead of sharing custody. Oh, I want full custody, and she starts doing that because she had feelings for you and she just wants to try to fuck you over. Now she could do that whether you're married or not. She could do that whether you're in this partnership agreement or not. So it's hard to guard against that. So you got to take her word for certain things. But in that partnership agreement, your splits are going to be clean because it's a partnership. It's not a marriage. The state's not involved from that level. You know, so to me, you go this way. Here's the joint accounts. There's $100,000 in there or $1 million. You take $500,000, I take $500,000, and sayonara. Anyway,
I'm gonna let Mr. Bennett go.
Okay, go ahead, Mr. Bennett, man. Go ahead.
Well, first of all, greetings to everyone in the BMU network, particularly the 7B network. Good to see the brothers representing again in these spaces. And just because we're bald doesn't mean we don't disagree with each other. We bring the smoke, and it's just good to be surrounded by this fellowship of brothers. So it's good to be here tonight. Arpain, salute the attempt, but I got some things. I got some issues with this.
Okay.
Right. The first one is when it comes to the conjugal arrangement.
Yes.
If this doesn't work for a viral man. So if you're a man who needs it every night and twice on Sundays,
right.
The idea of buying this house so we can just hook up. I gotta get, if I need you every day, it's going to be very inconvenient. I'm at my house because you said you're supposed to maintain your own residence. But if we're there every day anyway, for the sake of doing that, then to me, that's just a waste of money right there, or waste of resources to be paying. I'm paying electric bill, light bill, utilities, all that kind of stuff, property taxes for something that I'm barely in because I'm over there smashing you all the time. So from that, again, if you're like where your age is, and you might be doing it maybe once a week or whatever to, that might be sufficient to
Thank you,
keep
Mr.
the thing.
Bennett. You told you ain't getting no ass.
I didn't say that. I'm just saying you're not that viral 20, 30, 40
That's so
something year
funny,
old
man.
dude
God damn it.
who you
Go ahead,
used to
man.
be. So again, for those guys, you just want it on the weekends, every once in a while, just to kind of keep the engine going. But
Yep.
look, if I need it like that on demand, that's just not going to work for me having that kind of arrangement. So I got issues with that. The second thing is that the part about kids, I think it's difficult enough raising kids. I think kids need to have no part in this whatsoever. If kids even are thought about in this picture, I can't co-sign this, man. I mean, really, if you got teenage 12, 13, we had a show a couple weeks ago. These kids are messed up in these situationships and whatnot, and it's just not a good experience for them. There's no respect, and so no kids, and don't even think about having a kid in this kind of relationship. 'Cause like you said, it just totally voids the deal. So I think really the only way this can possibly work is for people like Ebony K. Williams, which is, again, you talk about the small minority of people where if you're in that space where public appearances could be beneficial for your brand. So you what Kelsey and the Taylor Swift, something like that may work for them, because again, just them being together seems like that just makes millions of dollars for whoever the Kansas City Chiefs or whoever it is. Just them hugging each other makes millions of dollars for themselves or some entity. So someone like that I could see benefiting from this, but for the average person, for the 99% of us who are just in the middle class or upper middle class and just trying to get to the end of life together, I just can't see how this would benefit that situation. So again, if it is to have some legs, it's going to be for the rare air which Ebony K. Williams and women of that ilk represent. Because as Trey was saying earlier, I mean, the benefit would be like me being with one of these IG models or something. Yeah, that may help my brand or whatever. That may get me more endorsements or something like that. There has to be a benefit, and she definitely has to bring that to the table. But just for the average woman, I just don't see the benefit or how she would benefit and how I would benefit from this arrangement. So those are two major holes for me or problems for me.
I want to respond to those two things you said. Trey's telling women over 50 are just about useless. God, Jesus Christ, Trey. But hey, first of all, the first one. Now, this, I'm not codifying what I said. I just said as an example. I should have maybe used an example about the conjugal visit. The reason why, I'm saying if people at that level, well, first let me stop and back up a square. I did say that this is for your selective kind of man who's successful and for your boss chick. I started out like that. So it's not like, and I did say people of Ebony's ilk. Now, there's not a whole plethora, but there's a certain amount on the bell curve that this could work for. I just put the conjugal thing in there as like kind of a rider, since if this was an LLC, you might want to have an investment property that's jointly owned that you both can go to. And instead of her spending all the time over your house or you spending all the time over her house, you could have a little bit of anonymity by keeping it separate and using that as a joint kind of investment property. And you can grow an investment strategy from it. You can have business meetings there. You can do all kinds of shit, which can give you enough leverage that you can consider this LLC like a moneymaker. And then you benefit from having a joint property because now you're showing you're trying to invest in property. It doesn't have to be that one, but that's what I'm saying. I just thrown that in as a rider. Now, if you need it more than 3 or 4 days a week, there's nothing to say you can't negotiate that out, right? So most men, I shouldn't say most men. So let's just say it that way. If this person agrees or you agree, say, listen, 2 or 3 days a week ain't enough. I put that in there. It could be every day. I don't know. I just threw that in there as the joint property was the main thing. But I hear you. And the second thing was about the kids. Okay. Now it depends on how old you are. If you already have your children, this is probably for mostly people a little older who have their kids already. But if she happens to get pregnant because y'all having unprotected sex, if she still can have it and you did, in that event, what would you do? That's all I'm saying. You don't do it to get kids, but if she did happen to get pregnant, I would hope you wouldn't delete the kid. But 2 people of means should at least have the kid if they made a mistake. And so in that event, what would you do? That's what I was trying to say. Now, what I put down there doesn't have to be how it is, but in the event of it happening, what do you do? How do you protect it? What do you say? So that's all. So this is just like a what you call it, not a straw man, or just like an outline of what it could be. And it's was not meant to be all inclusive. Well, that's how I would answer that.
Right. But it,
You
it,
know,
it sounds like something like this has been um, formulated in the past. I just can't put my word. I can't get my thoughts to it because we
but
talk about marriage seemed like, especially back in those old days, it seemed, especially when you talk about the elite classes, it was always transactional. You know what I mean? That's how you sealed. That's how you ended wars. That's how you bounded
maybe
families.
we
That's how
should
you
go
broke
back to that.
alliances. So
Maybe
it seems like something like this was done before. I mean, that's one of the reasons why you paid dowries and why you pay,
right,
there
right.
was all those things. So it seems like and I think there might be certain cultures even now that have that sort of old school mentality where, it's definitely about it's definitely not about love. It's definitely about the propagation of the community or the tribe or the kingdom or the whatever, or to have those assets protected. So I mean, even that stuff with the British royalty, it seems like it's very transactional over there. So I can't, I think some of this stuff might already be sort of written into the fabric, and it's not like, depending, and it gets confusing for me how that royal structure works, but just because you're married to someone doesn't necessarily make you a queen by marriage. I know Elizabeth's husband couldn't have become king even though he was married to her, and
Women can't make
vice
kings.
versa. Right, but I think vice versa as well. So again, but some of this stuff sounds a bit familiar to me, but again, I can't quite. I'd
No,
have to do a little bit
well,
more
it is
research on it.
familiar. It is
It seems
familiar. I
like
mean,
it's yeah.
let me just say this: it is familiar, but that's not the real point, right?
Mhm.
Because we are where we are now, even with real marriages. And I could say this, even with the kid thing. There's single baby mamahood. There's one thing, and then there's the kids in marriage. But if there's kids born to between two caring people who are going to take care of them, that kid's still at a better advantage than one who's abandoned. Period. Let me leave that there. But hot sauce, what you got?
Yeah,
Hey,
salute to
welcome
the
information, man.
hello.
Go ahead,
Yeah,
man.
salute to the panel. Shout out to the 50-50 brothers and house husbands. We winning. So first I want to say yeah, I don't understand how this partnership is going to work, especially when children are involved. Because at the end of the day, man, having kids out of wedlock is one of the number one drivers to poverty, to financial degradation. So I don't see how this will work, especially if you're keeping the state out of it, because the state is going to get its money when it comes to child support, right? You're asking a person who's very emotional to dissolve the relationship and not go to family court. I
I didn't
think
say
I think
that.
that's a lot. That's a lot
No,
to ask.
I didn't say that. That's not part of it. They have a kid. I didn't say dissolve the relationship once you have a kid. I didn't say that.
No, I'm saying that if you have a kid and then later on you guys decide to dissolve the relationship and part ways, and you're expecting her not to go to family court, man, that's a tall order. That's a huge gamble.
Well, here's the thing, right? And yeah, I hear you. And for the most part, if you're talking about people with a lower economic scale, this whole thing was for people at a
No,
upper
even
echelon.
even even I'm
Well,
saying like six figures and better.
I think it changes things. I think it changes, and even on a regular basis, all women don't take their men to child support court. Not all of them. You know,
What you call is paying 30? Anthony Edwards is paying $30,000 a month in child support right now.
I'm not saying he's not supposed to. We're talking about we can't talk about every. The majority of women do because they have to, but there's women who don't take their men to child support court. I'm just saying that this one, if people have means, the court probably won't need to get involved,
Bro,
right?
okay,
So
so
you're just saying a woman is going to get bitter and she's going to want to fuck you over. Yeah, that's a possibility. So I'll grant you that. I'll grant you
well,
that. But
because I'm saying like look at Mackenzie Scott, right? Come from a very wealthy background, Princeton
okay,
graduate, has money. She's
okay.
still taking for $33 billion.
Yeah, okay, man. I hear what you're saying, man. But you know what? She was entitled to the money based on the way they were married, man. and she was there when he was just stocking books on
Yeah,
the shelf.
my point is, regardless of their financial status, if women see money on the table, to me,
They're gonna
history
take
has
it.
proven
I'm not
they're
gonna
gonna
argue.
take
I'm not
it.
gonna. I hear you, Hot Sauce. I can't argue against that, man. I'm not. Yeah, I hear you. Anything else on that?
No. I mean, I hear it, but I mean, overall, man, I just think marriage is a bad deal, man. Any shape form of it. If you're not gonna be a house husband, or you ain't gonna just date them or malt whatever, then it's not worth it, man. I'm
Okay,
passing my
yes, this is the second time you mentioned house husband. What do you mean by house husband?
house husband. You know, you let her work, you let her pay the bills, you cook, clean, and take care of the kids.
You really needed a definition for that?
Huh?
No, I just wanted to hear him talk about it, man. That's all, man. You
Yeah,
know,
I mean,
if
look,
he's
man.
willing to do it. You
if
willing
you-
to do that, Hot Sauce? You willing to be a house husband?
No. I'm not doing that, man. I'm not doing
Okay.
that. But I'm just saying, if you try to get married in America, that's the best option for men.
It's only 7%.
Nah, the
of men
best
that
option is to make sure she makes more money than you, a lot more money than you.
That's the best. option.
Yeah.
That doesn't make you a
Yeah.
house husband. That just makes you unliable for her shit. Except if you're Kanye and Kim, she's taking them to the bank, even though she makes more money than him. Now, hey, information, man. What you got?
Hey, what's going on?
All right, brother. How you doing?
Yeah, I think arrangements like that is, to me, you're just doing high level tricking. You get a woman, you get a
rolling
place,
snake eyes like a motherfucker, man.
and
You snake eye.
you go into a arrangement where
Okay.
you're having sex with this person. You're not married, but I just think what's the point of, why would you even go into an investment with a woman? Why don't you just buy it and have the house yourself or the place yourself and then just use it as a place? Look, man, this is what a lot of guys do that are out there playing the field. They got their own little place, right?
Right.
And then they bring the women there that they can attract and they have their fun. Why should I go in an investment with a woman when I can keep the investment to myself? So I wouldn't do that. And I just think it's still risky, because anytime you go into a contract with anybody, woman or man, and things go bad, it's going to always go back to the state, because they can take you to court and fight over who owns what, who has this. So you really can't escape. I don't know why we think we're going to escape the matrix while we're here in America, living in America, by creating these little situations and our pain. You know, you ever heard of a term called it's called a geriocracy, where older men control all the resources in terms of the women. If you go back thousands of years, you go back to tribal cultures,
Okay.
it was the younger men who got pushed out of opportunity to marry women, because the older men with the resources would dominate the resources of female. So they would have more than one female. So if most of us were living in that type of society thousands of years ago, some of us would be asked out, because the men who would have the resources, Trey, I'll call you and Hot Sauce out. If we were living in those times, you guys would be asked out if you guys didn't have the resources that the older men had to dominate. So that's where I have a problem with that. And then this whole thing about child support. I'm an example of a man who was lucky in my divorce, and this is not every man, where I had a woman in which we had an understanding that I was going to take care of my child.
Okay.
So I didn't really have to get the court so deeply involved, but I still striked while the iron was hot, which is I have 50-50 custody of my child.
Okay.
A lot of times when guys find themselves in this bad child support situation, you have to ask yourself, when you went through the divorce or the breakup, did you take your ass to the courtroom before the woman runs down there? Because it's a race. If she gets down there before you and you make a certain amount of money, your ass is screwed.
Right.
Get your ass up and run to the courtroom and file for your 50-50 custody or full custody of your damn kids. Most of these dudes that be crying about this shit on YouTube, when you ask them, what did you do? A lot of times they didn't do shit. They didn't take any action. They let the woman take action, and now they're operating out of a position of weakness.
Right.
Now the woman has she has full custody because your ass didn't show up to court. And if you don't show up to court, then she's going to get full control, and therefore she can take a lot of your resources. Now you on YouTube crying about child support. I'm telling you, man, that's not how a man of action operates.
All right. Yeah, I don't disagree with anything you just said. Now, one of the things I probably left out of this is some assumptions based on the conversation I wanted to have. One of the assumptions is that this is in a probably, it seems like it had to be utopian for me to even talk about this. Because, of course, everything you guys say could be legitimate because that's how we're operating with each other right now. Right? You know, whoever goes first, whoever screams loudest, the exceptions that if I have a kid, I can just imagine I'm going to get fucked over if I don't do the fucking over first. Those kind of things, that's how we operate right now. I mean, we operate even in marriages and not marriages. I was just saying that if there was a way to accommodate somebody who wants to, and I really was right, kind of, and maybe this, no good deed goes unpunished. Let's put it that way. I was saying, well, if I was a chick like Ebony K. Williams and I can't be a wife to a man, but I still want the companionship, how would I go about doing it? And I just thought that I just threw that up from that perspective. But everything else that you guys are saying is all legitimate in the common parlance. Yeah, but that means it's like really no way to set yourself up other than a real covenant like marriage. And it seems like that's down to 30% in our community. Right? So it seems like no other way of living together is can't be picked apart, whether it's common law, whether it's just friendship, relationships, situation. Everything could get picked apart based on the way we live today. Everything. Even this stupid little proposal I put together, I wouldn't expect it not to be. But in a utopian opportunity, is there a way to solve some issues without quite getting married and something more than just being boyfriend and girlfriend? So that's what I threw this up in. But can we pick it apart? Absolutely.
Yeah, but environment dictates people's behaviors, right? And in America, you can't get away from the government. You just can't.
Yeah, but
right?
but let me tell you, like, listen, there's ways to mitigate what the government's impact is on you as well. Like, for example, if you don't have a prenuptial agreement, actually what the government's rule is your prenup. Right? What the government in that particular state says is your prenuptial agreement. So
Right,
but you can mitigate that by trying to put things in there, and can they challenge it? Of course. We got a litigious society that can challenge everything, but that doesn't mean you don't move. Just
no,
like
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that you can't get away from the government. So when you're making your decisions, when you're taking actions, you have to consider that.
I agree with that. I agree with that.
That's all I'm saying.
But I'm not saying.
And I wanted to say one other thing, if I could. So in response to Information Man, where he said that me and Trey would be asked out, maybe we would. But hey, while y'all in council meeting with the geriatrics, I'm eating some white coochie while y'all in the meeting. So there you go.
I got one better though for that answer. 30% of the men are already asked out, even today.
Yeah.
They ain't getting they're invisible to women. 30% of men are already invisible to women if they don't have the aesthetics, not even the money. Because some women, if you don't, especially black women, if you ain't as pretty as them, you gotta somehow have enough game to get past the front door with some of the women. So there's a lot of guys already asked out. They say men from 18 to 30, are still virgins. A lot of them. And 54% of men, and if a medium man does a lot of good stuff with this, he said 54% of men are going to be childless or are childless now and probably won't even have kids. So a lot of guys ain't getting boxed, man. There's a lot of men out there not getting.
I mean, most of the West is an aging population, right? Europe, most of Western Europe,
yes.
Northeastern Asia, America, Canada, right? Everybody is below the replacement level, and the average age is getting older and older and older, right? It's just That's across the globe right now. People are not having children.
Yeah. So I listen. You know what? I was trying to be kind of tongue in cheek with this, only because Ebony K. Williams comes up every, well, I don't know, 2 weeks with her take on relationships, but it's clear to me that she wants a man in her life. She just doesn't know how to be a wife to a man. She doesn't, and she belittles women who do, and then she belittles men who don't want to sit down here and debate every goddamn thing with a woman when they come home. You know, so she's lost. So I just took my stab at helping the sister out, man. You know, this is my public service announcement for the night. You know, and I thought we could talk about it because, and we have, but as a strategy, I could see defeat. It's not good as a strategy. Okay, I'm coming up snake eyes. It would be nice if a woman came up here and said some shit, but they don't want to come up with them.
Hmm.
You know, especially like in this, like Sugar Bum is here. You know, she never comes up. But
Yeah.
but
I'm gonna get
other than
ready to
that,
drop off, but I wanted to say something to you, Arpain.
go ahead, information, man.
As
Go
you
ahead.
do some, I want people to really start doing, if you not have already done this, really start doing some research. There's a bunch of channels all over YouTube where they talk about studies as it relates to men dating,
Okay.
being out of the dating game, or by choice not deciding to date
Yes.
because of how toxic it has become and how things have changed. Especially with the younger generation, they are preferring not to marriage is going down because these young men are not either having sex, they're not involved with females because the females their what their expectations are beyond realistic. So I
Right.
think it's really hurting, and I think you're going to see this continued trend, unfortunately, where men I think men, we got to start loving ourselves, putting ourselves first. And I think the one weapon that women have against us is their bodies and their
Yeah.
beauty.
Yeah.
I want to ask the men in the chat room, everyone listening, how many of you think that you can get to a point in your life of disciplining yourself mentally and physically where you do not allow yourself to be manipulated or swayed by how a woman looks or her beauty or her body, and simply stay in your logical mind to not be manipulated by that? Because the reason why we've got these problems, our pain, is we keep talking about it's women doing A, B, and C. But I was just thinking the other day, another reason why we probably have this problem even more so is because we have so many of these simp men, these simp dudes who inflate the minds of women who feel that their value is higher than what it really is in the sexual marketplace,
Mhm.
because there's always a beta male or a simp guy who will give them attention and do for them what you won't do. And that is
Mhm.
also screwing up the game, because we have men out here that are doing everything that they can to please the woman, to get attention from that woman, even though she really wants the guys that ain't gonna marry her but just sleep with her. But then later on she'll settle for the guy who's kissing her ass for marriage. I think that aspect of men and manhood is also ruining the situation.
Well, listen, I agree with you 100% there. I just think that some of the solutions that we come up with is that I think trying to shame men out of doing what's natural to them is not necessarily the answer either.
Right.
What's the alternative? I mean, what's the message? Like you gave it just now, but how do you codify a message like that so men could actually take heed and it supersedes their natural inclination to want the box? And one of the things that you're gonna find, I think, and I go to some of those sites, Big More and some other sites where the men going their own way and all that kind of stuff. I listen to some of those. The point is that we're fighting against a man's natural nature, his instinct, right? And simps kind of understand that the only way they can get box is by being simps. And their army is huge. Their army is not small. It's probably going to always be more simps than men of discernment and understanding the consequences of their actions. So I'm not saying don't do anything. So don't get me wrong. I'm just saying that's the uphill battle that we have. And
Yeah.
you're a learned man. You read throughout history, Bible, secular, non-secular. There's always been men who've been willing to give up everything for the box.
Right.
No matter where they are, no matter how successful, no matter how down in the dirt. I mean, I don't need to tell you, you know yourself. You read enough.
But I
Wars been
think,
fought for it, man. So how do we get past that? Because I'd say
well,
the continued message of being disciplined has to continue. I agree with that.
well, I think that we need to have men like yourself and other men continue to preach the message of I think it just comes down to um teaching the
Discipline and
lessons of
consequence.
discipline
And
and
consequence.
consequences.
Yeah.
And I also want to say, when a lot of brothers get on these panels and talk about the child support situation and how it's kind of ruined them economically, I think the younger brothers should definitely take heed to what they're saying. I think you should learn. I think a wise man really learns from the mistake of other people.
Yes, I agree.
Observe the mistakes and decisions that other people make, and observe what happens to them when they make these mistakes. I think this way, Payne, because I'm an older guy and I've been through a lot of different things. And way I look at women now, because I feel at this point in my life that I've gotten a little bit more discipline over my sexual desires. I
Right.
like sex like any other man, but I just don't. Women are not able to manipulate me around the sexual thing anymore, because usually when I'm looking for a woman that I want substance in, I'm not thinking about the sex. I'm thinking about where is her mind. I think men need to be examining how a woman thinks and her mindset, and look for the red flags. And also keep this in mind. Women are attracted to men who are truly in their masculine energy. We have to stop giving off, because as men, we're taught and we're wired to be direct. Women are indirect. So when you're communicating with them and trying to court them, you must be indirect and not direct. Being direct turns them off. They like the chase. They like the chase of wondering, is he going to call me? Does he like me? When you put too much emotions into a woman that you just met too soon, you're texting her too much. You're giving her too much undeserved attention that she has not earned. The way their minds are wired, they want you in your masculine place, and they want to see you in that attitude, not an attitude, because they don't want to date another woman. So we got to get out of these, what I would call feminine ways or behaviors when we're trying to court a woman. Okay. All this stuff, getting on text messages with them, talking about, I can't wait till I see you again, when you just met the woman. Do you know that actually turns a woman off in the way their minds are wired? Because women have to see themselves when they're dating you. They have to see it as something that they get out of it, that there's something about you, right? They like women like men that other women want. There's got to be something different about you, mysterious about you, that sets you from apart. When that woman says, why does he never call me? I mean, why is he not doing what all the other guys are doing that are simps? They like that as excitement.
Yes,
they do.
I agree.
I'm going to drop off the pound because I've got to get ready to run or praying. But I like your show, and keep coming up with things that make us debate and talk. Take care, brother.
Man. That's what I aim to please, man. Thanks for coming up. I appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Yeah, man. Keep going. Keep having these good discussions, and maybe you can brainstorm on another show further about the answers that we were taught. What you were just saying, like, what is the solution? Maybe we need to fluff that out. I mean, not fluff it out, but get it more flushed out.
I agree. All
right, brother.
Take it easy. All right. Anybody else coming up? I mean, this could be a short show because I look like based on my plan, I was rolling snake eyes. You can put me in the middle. I guess ain't nobody else coming up. So if you're still there, hey, listen, I know this. I see some folks in the chat going back and forth, and I still haven't mastered looking at the chat and doing this. But again, I put this together kind of tongue in cheek, but kind of saying, Ebony Williams is not a unique woman. And the situation between men and women now in terms of relationships, both men and women are starting to use the term partner. So what does that really mean? Because to me, it means something less than husband. It means something less than wife. And Crimson Cure calls it the contract without the covenant, right? And even though I thought about it, but I'm glad she put a name to it. The partnership is just a contract between two people. Trey made a point like, why should I have a contract if I could get the juice? But then, you know what? How many people actually want the covenant? You know, and really mean they're going to stick by the covenant. All right. Because essentially the covenant has been diminished to a contract, or at least the people who might even believe in the covenant aren't getting married because they don't think it could be fulfilled. Right. How many people are actually staying married till death do they part? You know, you're starting to hear people getting divorces after 25, 30 years. I mean, where the hell were you actually going? You know what I'm saying? Especially, I'm gonna say this, especially women. Where the hell do you think you're going? Right? What do you think you're going to get fulfillment in your later years? You're 50, 60 years old, and now you're free and you're back on the streets. With being back on the streets now, what does the hell that mean? What does that really mean? You know, and especially if your husband wasn't really abusive, like y'all try to say. He's just you just got tired of the motherfucker. So I left. You know, I think it's stupid. And just like a man, if you're 60 years old, where you going? I mean, at least if your faculties still work, you can fool around with a woman who's in her 40s. You know, so could the woman in her 60s, but half of them, maybe they won't look as good. The guys who are 40, 30 something years old, not necessarily checking for you. You know, so I'm saying if you're going to stay married for 30 years, you might as well just go in for the long haul, hold your nose and just live that way. But that's not good either. But you know, how many people like the covenant? We're down to 30%. If you're just looking at the black community, you know, if you're just looking at the black community, then, you know, in the next 50 years, the next 20, 50 years, I think what we call black community is going to be completely different than what we see now, because nobody wants to get together. You know, and I was just trying to come up with maybe a way for us to at least communicate something we could build a bridge between just having boyfriend and girlfriends and to where you can get comfortable with a person in some kind of arrangement that you might want to elevate it to a real marriage, you know, which will be easy to do if you're already cohabitating, partnership, you're working together, you're making a little bit of money together, and you're starting to trust, building trust, as opposed to just getting on one knee and saying I do to a person that you haven't really fully vetted over a few years. So that's where I was coming from. It was fun for me to do that, put those together, and every so often I kind of come up with these little brainstorms. I think this is good. I appreciate the guys coming up and talking about it. One of these days, I'm gonna get one of these ladies brave enough to come up here and tell me they agree or tell me I'm full of crap in places other than just the chat. And with that, folks, Black Man Unfiltered, if you're there, I'm done. And I appreciate the chat showing up, Information Man, and everybody else, Trey. And let's go ahead and call this one a wrap. Over and out.
Subscribe now.